All right, good morning all. This meeting is called to order. Mr. Trollman, has anyone signed up for public comment? All right, here we are.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. We have no cases to reconsider under agenda item 3. Is that correct?
That's correct. No cases.
Under agenda item 4, tax liability cases, we have one case on docket 37.
Good morning. For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. That is correct, Chairman Daniel. There is one tax liability case on docket 37. The case number is TD-24-036-0724. Commissioner Esparza.
I disagree with the staff recommendation and would hold a hearing to obtain testimony about the employer's allegation that it was not timely notified that there was a problem with its voluntary contribution for 2024. Since there is nothing in the field tax comments concerning the notice allegedly sent to the employer on March 25th, 2024, the employer deserves a hearing to offer testimony on that point. In addition, we should request an analysis by the General Counsel's Office on whether a failure by TWC to timely notify an employer of a voluntary contribution problem is sufficient to overcome the 120-day deadline under Section 204.084E of the Act and under the corresponding federal statute.
Commissioner Trevino.
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
The available records suggest the firm was prevented from completing their voluntary contribution due to what looks like TWC's delays. This makes it unfair to penalize the firm without the benefit of a hearing to fully develop the record. I disagree with the staff recommendation, and we should grant the requested hearing.
We have 2 votes for a hearing, and we will resubmit the case after that hearing.
Okay, no fair housing cases on agenda item 5, no child labor cases on agenda item 6. Under agenda item 7, it looks like we have no wage claim cases on docket 37 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. No cases pulled for additional discussion, but you should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 37.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the wage claim cases on docket 37.
I second the motion, except for those cases which I am dissenting, as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 37.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected in wage claim short form dissent list for docket 37.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move then to agenda item 8, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 37. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case 2506-474, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision regarding good cause. The employer was not able to attend the AT1 hearing because the company president was out of town. In its appeals, the president stated that his non-appearance resulted from problems with COVID, which caused him to go out of town. We should take note that the AT1 hearing was scheduled during May of 2020. Although the employer's good cause testimony could have been better developed, the employer should not be penalized for the lack of additional information on the issue. Thus, because the employer's primary representative was unable to participate due to being out of town and unavailable, the employer established good cause for its non-appearance, and the case should be resubmitted for its merits testimony.
The decision is fully supportable. The employer missed the AT1 hearing, arguing that their president was out of town for business. The employer provided no details as to what the business required the president to be out of town or how being out of town prevented him from calling in for the hearing, but testified that the president quite frankly forgot about the hearing. Therefore, the employer has not established good cause for AT1. As to the job separation, the evidence presented at the AT1 established that the day after the claimant sent the president an email asking for a meeting to discuss unpaid overtime wages, the president informed her that she was being discharged for unspecified attendance issues. The claimant had no prior warnings for the attendance and had only missed 2 days of work, for which she provided a doctor's note. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT. Employer did not establish good cause for AT1, no misconduct, chargeback.
Employer established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 358991, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The employer discharged the claimant for arriving 4 minutes late to work. The claimant was late due to getting stuck in a traffic jam as a result of an accident which delayed his commute. The claimant was unable to notify his supervisor in advance because he did not want to receive a ticket for using his phone while driving. Since the claimant's final attendance infraction was due to unavoidable circumstances outside of his control, the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant was aware of the employer's policy, which required him to inform the employer about instances of absences or tardiness. Although the claimant was warned about the importance of following employer directives, the claimant continued to violate the employer's policy by arriving late to work. Since the claimant was advised about the employer's standards, his subsequent violation of the employer's rule constituted work-connected misconduct. As such, we should affirm the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3594014, Commissioner Esparza.
We're asking the commission to rehear this case. The claimant was terminated when he was involved in an altercation with a coworker. Although the hearing officer took testimony about the final incident, circumstances regarding job separation were not fully developed. Moreover, since the employer is offering possible video evidence of the final incident, the commission should rehear this case to develop the record and to admit the employer's additional evidence concerning the job separation. Please rehear.
The decision is correct. While the employer discharged the claimant for allegedly making threatening comments to a coworker during a verbal altercation, the claimant has denied making any such threats under oath, and the employer has only provided vague secondhand testimony about the incident. Additionally, although the employer suggested that they may have a video of the final incident, they have made no effort to submit any video evidence to the commission. Therefore, the employer has failed to meet its burden of showing that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Rehear.
We will rehear the case.
Case number 3607449, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved his work as a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, there is no separation from employment, and the determination dated 6/20/23 should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void the determinations.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant stopped working due to personal reasons, thus he quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving overpayment.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3607835, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant missed the AT1 hearing because he started working at a new job and stopped filing for benefits. Since the claimant was working a new job at the time of the hearing and was not expecting any additional correspondence from the commission, it should be held that the claimant established good cause for missing AT1 hearing and the case resubmitted for merits testimony from AT2. Reverse the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, resubmit. In the alternative, if my fellow commissioners do not agree that the claimant had good cause for AT1, the evidence in the record established that the employer reduced the claimant's hourly pay by over 25%, which provided the claimant with good cause connected with the work to quit. Modify the AT, claimant did not establish good cause for AT1, no voluntary leaving, charge back, void adequate response.
We should modify the AT decision. Concerning good cause, although the claimant timely received the AT hearing notice, he did not appear because he neglected to read the contents of the hearing packet. As such, the claimant did not establish good cause. Concerning the job separation, although the claimant was aware of the employer's attendance policy, he initiated job separation when he was a no-call, no-show on 3 consecutive days. Since claimant separation involved no-call, no-shows on multiple consecutive occasions, his separation was voluntary and without work-connected good cause. As such, we should modify the AT decision. Claimant did not establish good cause for missing the AT hearing, voluntary leaving, no charge back, sever adequate employer response.
Claim established good cause for AT1, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3611286, Commissioner Trevino.
Although the claimant's appeal was filed a few days late, The claimant's continued claim involved his work as a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, the timeliness rules are not applicable because the 6/9 of 23 determinations were void from inception since there was no separation from employment. Set aside the AT decision, void the determinations.
The AT decision should be affirmed. Claimant did not file a timely appeal. Claimant did not offer an explanation that would constitute an exception to the timeliness rule. As such, the claimant's appeal should be dismissed as late, which therefore affirm the AT decision, ultimately untimely complaint appeal, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Timely claimant appeal, remand on merits.
Short form dissent.
We have not yet achieved a majority vote.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
Thank you, sir. The majority vote is timely appeal, remand on the merits. And since it will be a remand decision, you have the opportunity to short form.
Yes, ma'am. Short form dissent.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 362-3355, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved his work as a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, there is no separation from employment and the determination dated 7/11 of 23 should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void the determinations.
From the AT decision, the claimant stopped performing work due to mechanical issues with his vehicle. As a personal reason that does not constitute good cause connected with the work for quitting, we should therefore affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3633053, Commissioner Esparza.
We should reverse the AT decision. The claimant was discharged for being physically threatening and aggressive during an argument with a coworker. Claimant had received prior warnings, including final warning for similar behavior. He was repeatedly cited for abusive treatment or language or discourteous conduct directed at others. The warnings notified the claimant that further incidents could result in termination. In the absence of testimony from the claimant, the employer has met its burden of proving that the claimant violated the employer's policy and was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant was discharged for allegedly engaging in a threatening behavior during a verbal altercation with the coworker. The claimant denied the allegations that he acted in any unprofessional or threatening manner. The employer failed to offer any firsthand testimony or any specific details about the final incident. As such, the employer did not meet their burden of establishing that the claimant's discharge was for misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3636687, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was discharged for falsification of time records because the employer's records allegedly showed no work performed by the claimant over 2 months. The claimant provided credible and consistent firsthand testimony that he performed work during all hours that he reported working, and that he had informed the employer about system issues. The employer provided no firsthand testimony from the employer's IT department, who conducted the investigation into the employer's records, or the claimant's manager, who the claimant informed about the system issues. Therefore, the employer has failed to provide sufficient evidence to establish that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant was fired after the employer discovered that he had performed no work for over 2 months. While the claimant contends that he had performed work, one of the employer's witnesses testified that the claimant did not provide an explanation for what he was doing while clocked in. Furthermore, when asked to provide information on work the claimant had completed, the complainant provided cases that were processed in the previous year. In addition, one of the employer witnesses testified that she had been doing this type of work for a long time and had never seen a glitch in the system that reported no work being performed. Accordingly, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, no.
Yes, sir.
Case number 36411417, Commissioner Trevino.
The claimant's continued claim involved his work as a marketplace contractor and self-employment. As such, there was no separation from employment and determination dated 8/22 of 23 and should be voided. Set aside the AT decision, void the determination.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant stopped working voluntarily because he wanted to focus on looking for full-time work. Thus, he quit without work-connected good cause. Affirm the AT decision, voluntary leave.
Set aside the AT, void the continued claim.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3731847, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision should be modified. The award of $18,972 in wage credit for the fourth quarter of 2023 is incomplete based on the evidence provided, as it included only the regular wages previously reported by the employer and the $3,500 in back pay that was paid to the claimant on 4/26 of 24. It did not include any portion of the $3,617 in back pay for the period of 12/4 of 23 through 2/4 of 24 that was paid to the claimant on 5/3 of 24. Though it is clear that a significant portion of that payment was earned by the claimant during his base period and not paid in a timely manner by the employer, and is therefore attributable to the claimant's base period. Failing to award any portion of this payment to the claimant's base period as wages credits based on the lack of evidence regarding how much was earned in each quarter simply awards the employer for failing to pay the claimant for his work in a timely manner. The claimant's allegation based on his documentary evidence that he earned $22,176 during his base period was not disputed by the employer. Though $1,232 of that amount was appropriately attributed to the first quarter of 2024 as regular wages that were paid in a timely manner, and the claimant's wage credit for the fourth quarter of 2023 should total the remainder of $20,944. Modify the AT, the claimant has wage credit of $20,944 for the fourth quarter of 2023. In the alternative, I could agree to rehear this case to allow the claimant to provide more detailed testimony and evidence regarding the portion of the $3,617 in back pay that was earned in the fourth quarter of 2023.
The AT decision is not supportable. Assuming that the claimant was simply an hourly employee and that the employer kept the time records that it was required to keep for non-exempt employees, it should have been easy for the claimant, the employer, and the hearing officer to calculate which hours the claimant worked in the fourth quarter of 2023 that were not already included in the original base pay wages reported by the company, and then to multiply those unpaid hours by the claimant's rate of $15 per hour plus time and a half for any unpaid overtime hours to determine what part of the back pay should be included in the fourth quarter of 2023 wage records. If needed, staff can refer the data to our wage and hour department for proper calculation. Allocating the proper amounts of wages to the fourth quarter of 2023 and the first quarter of 2024 should also benefit the employer by helping to keep its wage reports and UI tax payments accurate. Accordingly, we should rehear this case to obtain information on the claimant's total pay during the relevant weeks in the fourth quarter of 2023.
Can you read that case number back to me, please?
Yes, sir.
That case number, I'm sorry, that was incorrect. It was 3768292.
Yes, Commissioner Trevino, do you agree with the new case number as read? 3768292.
Yes, ma'am.
And Commissioner Esparza?
3768292.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Rehear.
Yes, sir. Rehear the case. We will do that rehear. And that is the last case pulled for additional discussion on docket 37. You should have received the UI short form dissent list on docket 37.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 37.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 37.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 37.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This brings us to the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess. So agenda item 9, BCY 2025 childcare minimum reimbursement rates.
There we go. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Allison Wilson with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. TWC's child care rules require workforce boards to establish child care rates at or above a level established by the Commission. Today, we are bringing forward recommendations for a methodology to set the child care minimum payment rates threshold, beginning with board contract year 2025. As outlined in more detail in your materials, we're recommending that the Commission set the minimum threshold for child care rates at the 75th percentile of the most recent market survey or at the baseline rate of the most recent cost of quality report, whichever is higher. Additionally, if any rate would drop below the previous year's level, we are recommending retaining the prior year's rate. We are recommending this methodology with one caveat for BCY 25. Until the full launch of our new child care case management system, TWC, we will temporarily use the existing 4 age groups for payment rates. The new 8 age groups will be implemented early in BCY 25 with the TWC launch. That concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the methodology for setting the child care reimbursement rates minimum threshold for board contract year 2025 and subsequent years as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
Second.
Been moved to second, the vote unanimous, motion carries. This is agenda item 10, BCY 2025 childcare performance measures and targets.
Okay. Again, for the record, Allison Wilson with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. Today, we are bringing forward 2 issues related to board contract year 2025 childcare performance measures. The first issue is the BCY 25 target for the average number of children served per day. Based on the 25 allocation totaling 1.319 billion and the case mix that we now have in place, we are recommending that the Commission approve a BCY 25 target of 155,194 children per day. As outlined in the discussion paper, staff also recommend that we once again conduct a mid-year review of the child care targets, analyzing more recent cost and case mix data, and presenting recommendations to the Commission in early calendar year 2025. Staff recommends that we also replicate the BCY 24 end-of-year reconciliation process in BCY 25. The second child care measure we are bringing forward for your consideration is the initial job search success rate performance measure. Because this is a new measure, insufficient data exists for traditional forecasting methods. So to obtain targets, the most recent rolling 4-quarter averages were calculated for each board and bounded in accordance with longstanding target setting convention. This methodology is described in more detail in your meeting materials. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the targets for the initial job search measure as described. That concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
No questions, Chairman.
On the chart on childcare initial job search success rate, 2 boards, Lower Rio and Middle Rio, both says that 0% of the people who participated in that had success on their job search. Is that correct, or is that a lack of data?
I may need to get back to you on that.
Okay. The other question I have then is why is this kind of this floating rate? It seems like there's some minimum standard of performance on initial job search success rate that would be the same for every board, because it wouldn't matter if you have 2 or 200,000. It should be the same. So when you get back to me on the other one, just give me some context on why it's this floating average and not just some fixed performance that we can all agree is important for the parents that are participating.
Certainly. We
All right.
will get with I3 and get back to you on that.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the board contract year 2025 child care targets as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I'll second.
It's been moved second, the vote's unanimous. And the motion carries. This is agenda item 11, BCY 25, non-WIOA targets.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, my name is Dawn Cronin with the Workforce Development Division. For your consideration this morning is a discussion paper on the local Workforce Development Board Performance Measure non-WIOA targets for board contract year 2025. These non-WIOA measures include 5 career and training WIOA-based measures: active job seeker, new employment connection rate, maintaining employment connection rate, credential rate for all career and training participants, 2 NCP measures, non-custodial parent choices programs, entered employment rate and retention of employment rate, 3 performance outcome or 3 performance targets for the reemployment services and eligibility assessment program, outreach and scheduling rate, initial appointment rate, and failure to appear rate or failure to report for your appointment. Additionally, the choice's full engagement rate, claimant reemployment within 10 weeks, the number of employers receiving Texas Talent Assistance, and the successful Texas Talent Assistance rate. 4 of these are new measures for BCY 25. That's the active job seeker, new employment, maintaining employment connection, the number of employers receiving Texas Talent Assistance, and successful Texas Talent Assistance rate. These measures and their calculation methodology were approved by the commission at the April 1st commission meeting. The same methodologies for setting BCY 25 targets as those used in BCY 24 will be applied, except for the new measures whose methodologies explained in the discussion paper in your meeting materials. Staff recommends the approval of the non-WIOA performance target measures for BCY 25 as detailed in the discussion paper in your meeting materials, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No, Chairman.
On the measure number of employers receiving Texas Talent Assistance, my question is that my suspicion would be that Gulf Coast Board's going to have a lot more employers than, say, the Deep East Board. But we use the number of employers, and we've set, just for example, Gulf Coast says that last year that 29,000 employers received Texas Talent Assistance, but we've set their goal for the next year at 4,168, far, far, far below what they seem to be capable of. But my real question is, it makes better sense to me that this would be a percentage of the employers in your service area, some base number of employers in the service area. And I'm just wondering, have we ever considered that? And if not, why is that not a better measure than setting what appears to me to be some sort of number that we've come up with?
Great questions. The percent of employers in a service area, I don't know if that was considered by I3 or not. We can certainly confer with them and get back with you with a response.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. Not to specifically address your question, but maybe propose that it might be a good time for the commission as well as the staff to sit down together. Not that I'm encouraging extra work for anybody, but in a work session to actually go over some of the measures, the methodology behind it. We have a new biennium coming up next fiscal year. We might be able to look at some of these things to better reflect the changes that have occurred in our economy.
I think that's a good suggestion.
I'll put something down and get with your offices to try to schedule that.
Very good. Thank you.
It'll be a working session.
Thank you. All right, back to agenda item 11. Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the board contract year 2025 local workforce board performance targets for the non-workforce innovation and opportunity act measures as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
I second.
Been moved to second, motion carries. This agenda item 12, BCY 25 and BCY 26, we owe it targets.
Good morning again. For the record, Dawn Cronin, Workforce Development Division. For your consideration this morning is a discussion paper on the BCY 25, BCY 26 local workforce development board targets for our statutory WIOA measures. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act requires the Texas Workforce Commission to negotiate 2 years of targets using a statistical-based model on the board's best available assumptions of the case mix and economy. At the end of each year, the model is applied to the board's actual case mix and economy and adjustments are made. WIOA Section 116 subsection C identifies the following 15 measures to be used for local board performance accountability. There are 5 measures under each of the 3 WIOA programs for adult, dislocated worker, and youth. These measures include employed 2 quarters after exit, the median earnings 2 quarters, employed 4 quarters after exit, credential rate, and measurable skills gain. The process for negotiating the targets with each board is described in the discussion paper included in your meeting materials. The negotiated targets will be applied to performance being reported in the board contract years BCY 25 and 26. Staff recommends the approval of the targets for BCY 25 and 26 for the WIOA statutory prescribed performance measure targets negotiated with the 28 boards as listed on pages 4 through 9 in the discussion paper. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any comments or questions?
Just a comment, Don. I'd like to thank the I3 staff for all their work on these new models that they presented.
No question.
I have 6 questions written down, but I'm gonna push those to the work session that we're gonna have. And yeah, I'm gonna push all of them.
Okay.
So I'm sorry that I don't have questions for you, but I'll do better next time. I know. Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the initial targets for board contract years 2025 and 2026. Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act performance measures as described in the discussion paper and recommended today by staff.
My second.
It's been moved second, motion carries. This is agenda item 13, UI Trust Fund update.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. Today is the last estimation I'll do for the trust fund balance as of October 1st. The next one I'll bring will be sometime after October 1st, and it'll be the actual values of the trust fund on October 1st. And then we'll start projecting 2025 after that. As of right now, I'm projecting the trust fund balance to be 1.473 billion. Which should be above the floor of 1.322 billion. That number is locked in. That is the actual 1% of taxable wages as of June 30th. So that number is fixed. And we have seen increased payouts in the last couple months and about a little over 270 million a month. And so for the month of September, I'm projecting that value and pretty much holding revenue flat for that time period. So that even with that, we should be about 150 million above the floor come October 1st. Being that I'm projecting to be above the floor, I'll direct staff to work with the controller's office to do the ETIA transfer to cover the skills appropriation for appropriation year 2025. That concludes my comments, and I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None, sir.
Commissioners, you would be surprised to know, I mean, you missed all the action in 2020 and 2021, but there was a time in the history of this agency when Chris Nelson gave me a number with regard to the UI Trust Fund that he said would range somewhere between $0 and $8 billion. That was the range. And he said he would try to give me an estimate. And when he did, I thought he was clever enough to include the words "ish" at the end of the estimate. I still have that document. It'll
That's
go
an
into
actual
the
term.
TWC archives.
That's an actual accounting term.
That was an actual accounting term. Ish. A lot of work goes into this, not just Chris, but Eric and his crew and a lot of other people do a lot of work on this UI stuff. One of the reasons it runs smoothly is because we take it real seriously and do a lot of work. Appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Yeah.
All right, anything? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
It strikes me that there probably is a legislative report today. I saw that. I think that's not a new tie. I've seen that tie before from.
It's
His
yelling,
collection of-
it's yelling legislative.
It's like, that's probably the height of Italian couture right there, I think. Proceed, sir.
Y'all can hear me over the tie, right?
You turn that tie down a notch. That's funny.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Michael Bright, Governmental Relations. Yesterday, Congress returned from their August recess. So now Congress is beginning the work to extend government funding beyond the end of the current fiscal year, which ends September 30th. Also this afternoon, Chairman Daniel, Reagan Miller, and Mary York will be testifying before the House Committee on International Relations and Economic Development, providing the committee with an update on the agency and an overview of the child care program, as well as updates on the Lone Star Workforce of the Future Fund and apprenticeships. Next Tuesday, Chairman Daniel will be testifying before the Senate Natural Resources and Economic Development Committee on the agency's subsidized child care program as it relates to the committee's interim charge on enhancing workforce productivity. Concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there an executive director's report today?
Yes, sir. A few things. First off, I would like to note that your upcoming testimony on IRAD is a good example of upward delegation, and I appreciate you taking that.
Noted.
Second, I'd like Eric to just give you all a quick update on the weekly benefit amount changes that are occurring in the UI system. And then I've got one other item after that.
For the record, Eric Holland, Unemployment Insurance. I have an update relating to the changes in the Unemployment Insurance Weekly Benefit Amount, or WBA, for regular initial claims with an effective date on or after October 6, 2024. The changes will have no effect on existing claims. Texas Labor Code Chapter 207.002 sets the minimum and maximum weekly benefit amounts, or WBA, based on the Labor Market Information Department's analysis of Texas average weekly wage in covered employment for the preceding calendar year. For 2023, LMI calculated that the average weekly wage was $1,384.80, an increase of $50.92, or 3.2% over the preceding calendar year. The minimum weekly benefit amount is set at 7.6% of Texas's average weekly wage in covered employment, but may not exceed or may not increase by more than $1 in any year. Since the calculated amount exceeded the limit, the minimum weekly benefit amount will increase by $1 to $74 per week. The maximum weekly benefit amount is set at 47.6% of Texas's average weekly wage in covered employment, but may not increase by more than $14 in any year. Since the calculated amount exceeded the limit, the maximum weekly benefit amount will increase by $14 to $591 per week. To summarize, for regular initial unemployment claims with an effective date on or after October 6, 2024, the minimum weekly benefit amount will be $74 and the maximum will be $591. And again, this has no effect on existing claims. And this completes my update, and I'm available for any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
Thank you.
The second item is also informational. We were recently notified by RSA that we were allotted a reallotment. So at the end of the year, they have funds left over. They put them back out. We had requested 30.7 million. We received 30.4 million. I wanted to point out that in addition to this, we also, because of the changes that the commission made with regard to granting additional general revenue or identifying and transferring additional general revenue into VR, we drew down the full VR regular allotment for fiscal year 24. So we've drawn down the full amount, and now we've gotten an additional 30.4, which is only 300,000 less than what we asked for. So we continue to demonstrate good things with that program.
All right. Any questions or comments for them?
No,
No,
Is there any other order of business coming from the commission?
none here.
no, sir.
Real quickly, before we adjourn, I want to introduce a couple new staff in my office. So we've got Lauren Mamrosh sitting over here, and then Lauren Garcia. Lauren is a recent graduate of Texas A&M School of Law, and Lauren Garcia is a recent graduate of American. They have nicknames in the office, but I promised I wouldn't share them in a public forum. She's a graduate of American University, Washington College of Law. Anyway, they've both taken the bar exam, and they're waiting on those scores like all the other law students. But they were 2023 participants in our legal intern program. They both impressed me greatly with their legal work. So I have brought them on as legal analysts in my office. I am thrilled for them to start. Alex is more thrilled than me for them to start, because now she has to do all the work by herself. But we got a good glimpse at their work last summer. If you ever wonder why internships are important, that is why internships are important. I'm looking forward to working with them. We've got a full house down there and it's an exciting time and I'm just thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be able to be on the ground floor on what I think is going to be two pretty incredible legal careers. Hopefully they'll remember us fondly. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes, just want to congratulate them too, and guess if it's L1 and L2, maybe as the nicknames.
It's not their nicknames, but
Okay.
yeah.
Who can we guess?
All right, well, I move to adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved seconded to adjourn and we're adjourned.